It's good to be here. Um, Thank you. Welcome home. Yes, it is good to be home. There's so much I would like to talk about, but I will be brief and to the point. I'm here in my new job, not so new anymore, year old. I am the chair of the New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission, and I'm here to talk to you about a TLC idea that we have that I hope you will like. That deals with something that bothered me the whole time that I was, the 8 years I was in the council here, that I always felt was a quality of life problem in Brooklyn, that there is no such thing as legal taxi service outside Manhattan. There's a little bit, and now I know you see some yellow cabs and maybe on Bedford Avenue on Friday night. But for the most part, yellow taxis stay in Manhattan. And it's something that you know from living here and growing up here, but now we have data to prove it. Every yellow taxi has a GPS tracker that records every trip that it takes. 97% of all top taxi trips are Manhattan. 3%, it's actually 2.5%. So 3% of trips are Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, Staten Island together. So that's 80% of the city, 3% of taxi trips. And it's not that people don't want to hail a cab outside Manhattan. They do. What people do now, as you know, I mean, how many people here have ever flagged down what do you call it, a limo, a black car, a gypsy cab? Have you ever flagged one down? Don't worry, we're not going to give you a ticket. Well, only a couple of people here. Maybe that's the case. We went out and we did some field observations, and we did a survey of the livery industry. A conservative estimate is that every day about 150,000 people flag down cars illegally outside Manhattan. So it's at the subway stop, outside the mall, on Bedford Avenue, shopping centers. I mean, the reality is, if you're in a rush and you want to get somewhere, you're not going to see a yellow taxi. You're going to see what people call gypsy cab. Our proposal is to try and bring legal taxi. And why is that bad? I mean, on the one hand, the service is there. On the other hand, because it's illegitimate, it feels kind of sketchy, and we know this a lot. We did a passenger survey. A lot of people, I think women in particular, feel that it's an unsafe feeling getting into a cab that's not legit. There's no set price, so you have to haggle. You know, if I go to Penn Station, all right, $25, Rabbi Niederman. 25. No, you know, come on, I'll 15. Okay, 20. So that's, you know, in my line of work, you do a lot of back and forth, but even still, it's uncomfortable. You don't like to have to get in and negotiate the price each time. And people, even when it's a fair price, people feel like they're getting ripped off. So it feels sketchy. You don't know if it's safe or not. There's no set price. There's no customer protection. What we would like to do is take this underground market and make it legitimate and make it regulated so that the customer can have some protection. And the proposal on the table is to allow car services, north side, the car services that today serve the boroughs, let them pick up off the street legally. And that's half of it is it will be legal. The other half is, if they're going to do that, then they should equip themselves like a taxi. So get a meter, get a roof light that's, you know, lit up means you're empty, unlit means it's occupied. Have the credit card reader. Now half of all taxi trips, the yellow meters, the credit card readers have only been in there for 3 years. Every month the usage goes up. It's half of the trips now are paid by credit card. It's what customers have come to expect. So what we're saying is, if a licensed livery car wants to act like a taxi, it should be allowed to, outside Manhattan only. It should be allowed to, as long as it has the right equipment. And last part, but the car service companies would not be required to do this. I want to be clear about that, because some livery bases, some of the car service companies, they've gotten anxious about it, saying, I don't want to get a meter, I don't want to put a roof light, I don't want to have credit cards, I just want to keep doing my business. Fine. Our proposal is, a car service company that wants to keep operating just the way it is today, fine. No change in their rules whatsoever. But now they would have the option, if they want to, also do what we call street hail service, also pick up off the street. Passengers are hailing them, then they would be allowed to do it. Right now, the rule is only yellow taxis are allowed to pick up off the street. It's a government-created monopoly that has created an industry where each of those taxi medallions, anybody know what, I'll shut up. Anybody know what the medallions go for? What does a taxi medallion sell?
50,000.
All right, 500,000. What'd you say?
500? Yeah, 500,000.
Yes, people, usually they'll guess like 100,000, 200, you guess 500,000. Okay, 950,000 is today's going rate for a taxi. That's crazy. What that is, that's the right to drive a car. That doesn't include a car, right? Doesn't include anything. It's just the right to drive it. Imagine if you had restaurant. We said there only can be 2,000 restaurants in New York City, and I'm looking at Teddy's because why should it be? It would be crazy if we said only 2,000 restaurants. Pretty soon, the right to have a restaurant would trade for like $1.5 million. That's a crazy way to do things. Should be as many as you need for the market. But even fine, Manhattan. The yellow taxi system works fine. We're not looking to mess around with it. All we're looking to do is say, outside Manhattan, where the yellows don't go anyway, let's free up the car services to do the work that that people want them to be doing. That is the proposal. We are trying to do this in the way that the government always operates. Put out the idea, have the community input, hear it, digest it, take it back. So it's not, we're not here to say this is what's happening and it's happening tomorrow. We put out a proposal. We're going to every community board outside the city, outside Manhattan, and some Manhattan ones too. We're going to every community board to hear their input. I'm not going to most of them, but of course Community Board 1 I want to be able to go to. And it's not something you have to vote on, it's not a euler item, but now you've heard the idea. As you have comments, criticisms, suggestions, whatever, email me, email our TLC staff, email Rabbi Niederman, and he will pass the comments on to me. Yes. Rabbi, please.
I'm a citizen of Greenpoint and Williamsburg. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Can you tell us why people would oppose that? Did you hear?
Well, the opposition, and I'm not, I'm not looking to make a fight of it. The yellow taxi industry is opposed to it. The yellow taxi medallion owners, and they have, I understand where they're coming from. If you paid $950,000 for one of those medallions, now you don't want the government to change the rules in a way that is going to make that investment less valuable. Our answer back to that is, look, your business plan as it is today is not coming from Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx. It just isn't. That's not where your revenue is coming from. And it's not fair to hold everybody else hostage to the fear that maybe someday down the road this competition is going to hurt you, because it would not hurt you today. So that is where the concern is coming from.
Esteban?
Commissioner Yassky, the last time the TLC, your office, came out with a proposal, it actually was a proposal that failed miserably, and that was regarding the bus services, which never were delivered to our community, which lost the B39 bus crossing the bridge. So I want to know, what type of analytical data have you looked at that really, besides the 3% here in Brooklyn, that really provides for this massive policy change? Because our community is still suffering from losing the B39 bus, something that your office, through those buses, failed miserably. So I'd like to know what kind of data you looked at, and I know you're looking at opportunities for input, but I really want to know how this proposal came about, period.